Welcome to Unleashing Happiness with Cecilia Hendricks, the podcast where we'll share ways to change your mindset, change your habits, and change your life. Hi all, I'm back for episode 4. I'm super excited. Like always, I feel like I keep saying that I'm super excited about everything, but I don't know how to convey other than using the word excited over and over, just how excited I am. Today, I'm going to be talking about some of my absolutely favorite topics. One, it's going to be reviewing kind of the list of joys and what really that brings to your life, especially when you're adding those joys into each day, and the way that it starts to rewire your brain for the things that you see in your world. In addition, I want to talk to the way that you're using the time before you go to sleep. So not only an evening routine, but also making sure that those times before you drift off to sleep, that you're really taking a few minutes to kind of bring yourself back, focus on what it is that you want, really identify some feelings that you can conjure up before you go to sleep, and that it just really makes a nice way for you to enter into your sleep state. And you'll start to see that by adding these different little pieces to your day, adding, happiness to your day and joy to your day, starting to change the perceptions of what you see in your life, and then really using that time before you drift off to sleep to redirect your thoughts in the direction that you want, will start to have a very large impact on your life. I also read a study today, and I only read it briefly, but I was very interested in it because they did a study in psychology showing that when you do not identify your emotions as negative or wrong to have the feelings that you have, that either you view them as positive, even if they may be considered a negative type of emotion, either by society or maybe something that you had identified as negative before, but instead looked at it as a positive or a neutral, that you are less likely to struggle with depression or feeling really down. It's a really good way, again, to talk about the way that we're viewing things and the perception that we have in our life. It's really important to remember that that perception is your choice. The way that you view your emotions, your reactions, how long you dwell in those are a choice that you can make. We may all be wired a little differently in the way that we're going to react, the way that we're going to see the world, the way that we were raised are going to have some different beliefs that are set with us, and those may be things that we need to work on and really dig into. But I'm here to tell you that you can do that. There's not one person here that's not able to say, you know what, I want to start taking a look at the way that I'm behaving, the feelings that I'm entertaining repeatedly, the thoughts that I continue to go back to, and find ways to change those to better my life. All right, so let's jump right in. I'm going to start with reviewing again the list of joys. If you're listening to me on a regular basis, you've probably heard this a few times now. I hope it's not becoming too much, but it's something that's so important to me and has made such an impact on my life and just my day-to-day activities and the way that I feel, the way that I'm perceiving things, and other folks that I've really encouraged to do this have found the same. Someone that I've spoken about here and also in my blog on my website is my brother, and he really, has started to dig into making sure that he's adding joy to his day. And he's starting to recognize those joys, and sometimes in the smallest kind of ways. He actually sent me a text message this morning talking about how he had found this really cool tea website because he, is finding that he really enjoys iced tea, and the better of the kind of quality of iced tea that he buys, the more that he enjoys it. And he was pretty excited about finding this website. And it seems really small to some people where it's like, why do you care about that? But I know for me, I love coffee. When I find a good coffee, I actually want to tell other people about it. I want to be like, hey, this new coffee shop has this really remarkable, iced whatever kind of thing. You should definitely go try it. It's amazing. And we start to notice those things more when we add more joy to our day. We get more excited. We want to share with others. And it just really leads into some different kind of domino effects of the habits that you have in your life. So if you have not done it already, or if you haven't revisited it, I recommend that you pause no matter what you're doing. Seriously, pause right now, unless you're driving, and let's maybe do this activity a little bit later in the day. But pause what you're doing, stop the podcast, get out a piece of paper and a pen. There's definitely power in the words that you write, for sure, no doubt, and write out a list of, 5 to 10 things that you enjoy. If you're struggling to get that list going, stop and think about maybe things that you don't enjoy. What's the opposite of those? You can start there. Text a friend or a family member and ask them, what do you think are things that I enjoy or that I would like to do during the day? And that's a really good starting point. Or you can start with some of mine. I'm going to go again, cup of coffee. I love having a cup of coffee. I really enjoy the smell of it. I enjoy listening to the coffee brew. I enjoy drinking it. I like sitting outside. I usually pair those together, my coffee and sitting outside, and I love to read. So I also add that to kind of this joy that I do in the morning, is to sit outside on my porch, watch the sunrise. I do this without sunglasses and not through a window. I'll get into this more at some point, possibly even today, but you getting that morning light actually helps you wake up. It helps set your rhythm for the day so that you're able to sleep better, and it's a natural mood enhancer. So at this point now, I'm saying, here's my list. I love coffee. I love sitting outside in the sun. I like watching the sunrise, and I like reading a book. So now I'm going to add all of those things together into this one moment that I'm able to be very present and very thoughtful of what I'm doing in that moment, and really enjoy that this is adding value to my day. And it truly does. It's like the best way to get my day started. But you can also add some other ones. I really enjoy taking a bubble bath. I think that it's nice. I like when my skin feels soft. I like taking care of my skin. So doing, facial care, taking care of the way that I look. Those are things that I enjoy. Getting my nails done. I just went recently last week with my mom and my daughter to get our nails done. So we got pedicures and our fingernails done. And now you'll probably see, I'll post it to my Instagram. But I've got like bright orange, it's like day glow orange nail polish on my nails. And that actually brings me joy. Every time I look at it, it's bright and it's fun. And I think my nails look nice. And I personally really love to feel feminine. And so having my nails done adds to that too. And so what you find when you start doing this list of relatively small joys, let's do a quick recap of mine: drinking coffee, sitting outside, getting some sunlight, reading a book, taking a bath, having soft skin, getting my nails done. There's 7 things there that are relatively small, simple things to do. The majority of those don't actually cost much money, other than like buying the coffee or getting a book from somewhere, but you can also go to your local library for that. Getting my nails done does cost money, but the majority of these are relatively free or very low cost options of something that you can do. And they've added so much pleasure to my day. So having my nails done it overlaps into other days where I'm able to look at them. I like having them done. I like how bright and fun they are. I really enjoy like bright colors. And so I now, by adding these small bits to my day, have already kicked off a chain reaction of just starting to notice a bit more positivity in my day. And it's so subtle and such a small shift that unless you're really paying attention to it, you don't notice it. And I actually think that's okay. I think that's the best thing that we could all do for ourselves, is get to the point where we're like, wow, I just feel better. And I feel better because I've started doing these things for myself. I've started to prioritize myself. I'm taking care of me. I'm doing things that feel good for me, either physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. I'm really taking care of myself. I'm adding things that I want to my day, which is another big kind of piece of this. Recently, a friend had sent me a really cool song. It's Hope by Camel Fat, and that's somebody I'd never listened to, didn't know who they were, but they're pretty awesome. Their new song, Hope, is all about really living your life. And they have a line in there about dancing with the fire. And that to me really spoke to me, because I think life is short. And we end up having these day-to-day activities that we feel like we have to do. And we can tend to lose ourselves a bit in that. That has been a lot of my experience, and some of the folks that I've spoken to, is that you do start to kind of lose yourself in this day-to-day, quote unquote, grind and hustle. And of course, there are things that we need to do. We're human. We need to have food. We need to have water. We need to provide ourselves shelter. We have children that we have to take care of, jobs that we have to answer to. I completely understand that. And I'm not taking away from those parts of the things that we need to do. But you can actually find joy in those items as well. And the more that you start to build joy into those, and then also start making time to really live your life, to go dance with the fire, to feel alive, to really enjoy yourself, to find the type of therapy that you can give yourself on a day-to-day basis that just makes you feel good, it is amazing what it does for your life. And like I said, it's this really small shift. And the nice part about that is then you're not doing this false gratitude. You're not looking at false positivity or toxic positivity as something else that, I see pop up quite a bit. If I stub my toe, I'm going to be mad that I stubbed my toe. It's going to hurt. Now, I'm not, though, going to punish myself for being mad or upset, or even if I cry because I stubbed my toe. To me, that moment is just a moment. It's a natural reaction to the pain that I've done. And let's say that I stubbed my toe because one of my kids left like a hoverboard out. And so in that moment, I might be kind of mad that they left the hoverboard out, or annoyed, and lash out a little bit. Like, you left your hoverboard out and now I'm hurt. And that I also think is a natural reaction. The more that you start to pay attention to those, you're able to kind of manage them a bit better. My knee-jerk, snappy reactions have really decreased. And even if they still happen, I'm able to quickly check myself, bring myself back, and make sure that the person that I'm being to anyone that's around me is the way that I want to be. I'm being the person that is respectful for me and respectful to others and is kind, because that's what's really important to me as a human being. And the best thing that we're able to do for ourselves is make sure that we're focusing on ourselves first. The more that you're able to internalize, watch your reactions, the feelings, and even the thoughts that you are continuously playing in your head, you can start to identify the ways to improve that. You can say, here's some areas that I'm feeling relatively negative, or I don't like the reactions that I have, or I'm not appreciating the things that I'm doing in the way that I'm spending my days. And you can start to identify those and correct those. And when I say correct, I don't mean because it's wrong. One of the things that this study that I mentioned earlier, and something that I really recommend, is not labeling the way that you feel wrong. Don't label it as inappropriate or get upset with yourself, or even label it as negative. Every reaction that you have, every feeling that you have, every emotion that bubbles up is this amazing opportunity for you to lean into being curious about who you are and the reason that you feel that way. And then start to identify, is this something that I want to continue? Now, at this point, if you've caught a reaction and you're asking yourself, okay, I'm not going to label this as wrong or bad or negative, but I don't necessarily like that this is the way that I'm reacting either. How would you prefer to react? And what is it that triggered that? It's okay to lean into yourself and really ask, okay, what did trigger this reaction? Why do I feel this way? What is going on inside my head that is creating this type of behavior? Or what am I focused on so much externally that's with me or happening to me that I'm unable to manage my own emotions and my own reactions to life that's going on around me? We will never be able to control everything around us. The only thing that you have control over is your reactions and the way that you deal with things, the way that you think about things, the thoughts you have running through your head, and how long you dwell within those. And that's one of the biggest things. I'm not going to punish myself for anything that I feel. I'm not going to be mad at myself because of something I feel. That it just happens. I'm human. That's bubbles up and it comes up and it teaches me something about myself. Even if maybe I might feel ashamed or I might feel frustrated with myself in that moment, I can step back and really lean into being curious about it and see it as either just a positive thing, this is giving me an opportunity, or a neutral thing. Feelings are just feelings. They come up sometimes. The more that you're able to start doing that, the more you'll find that you're not dwelling in those feelings. You're not replaying this stuff over and over in your head. And you'll start to notice mood enhancements because it's naturally a mood enhancer to not beat yourself up. And a lot of times if we're saying, hey, you feeling this way is negative and you're doing this wrong, and we're talking to ourselves, that's not the type of story we want to be having in our head. If you're finding yourself doing that throughout the day, let's start to identify ways that you can stop that. And this all will go back to a habit loop. Those habit loops are going to be recognizable to you, especially the more that you become more aware of them. So start to notice, what is this routine that I don't like? And maybe the routine is some sort of negative talk to yourself, putting yourself down. Okay, can you identify why you do that? Can you identify where that came from? And what routine interruption can you create to start a new routine that's within here? So if you do start on this, I got upset and now I'm mad at myself. I'm always feeling this way and I'm always getting mad at people and nobody wants to be my friend. Stop yourself. Find a way to stop and say, no, you know what? That's the way that I used to talk to myself. I don't talk to myself like that anymore. And replace it with something positive. And find something about yourself that you really like. I've shared before that I do say nice things to myself. I'll spend time in the mirror being nice to myself. I have struggled in the past with body image. That's something that I've kind of, cycled around quite a bit, is as a woman wanting to have this like remarkable body and feeling like my body was never there. So a lot of times I spend time, in front of the mirror in the nude, making sure that I'm saying nice things about myself. And it may not even be about my body, but while I'm doing my skincare, remind myself that I did really good today. I maybe got recognition at work, or I had a friend that I was able to help, or I got the closet cleaned out like I wanted to do, or whatever else the list is, and give myself kind of kudos for that. Like, I got this stuff done that I wanted to do. If I spent time in meditation, I'm going to address that because that's something really important to me. And I give myself kind of a, mental high five for doing good that day and getting that stuff done and really taking care of myself. It sounds so cheesy, especially because I shared that I do it naked. And that does sound really weird, but it has really improved the way that I view myself, just the way that my mind naturally goes when I look at my body or I'm getting dressed for the day. And it's been this mood enhancer for me that without noticing consciously that this was shifting, it has shifted and I feel better. And this is something really great to do right before you're getting ready for bed. Another time that's really great to do it is in the morning. But for this topic today, I'm going to talk about as you're getting ready for bed. There is this really magical moment when you're drifting off to sleep. And in the past, and many years luckily in the past, I would spend that time drifting off to sleep, kind of going over all the stuff in my head that either I had to get done, that I hadn't done, things that I was frustrated with myself, maybe something that I did or said to somebody that I wished I hadn't done. And I would kind of just like go over that and over that and over that. I've always been very fortunate that I fall asleep really quick. I lay down for bed and I'm out within, 5, maybe 10 minutes. And the 10 minutes is kind of a stretch. So I'm very fortunate in that I don't toss and turn. Even when my mind is kind of running, I'm able to fall asleep. But I noticed that I was spending almost every night as I was going to sleep concerned about things, the bills that I had to pay, what I was going to sign up my kids for at summer camp, the stuff at work that was frustrating me that maybe I hadn't gotten done, that email that I forgot to send, the way that I said something to, somebody walking down the street that I thought I felt, a little stupid after I said it. And I would just play this stuff over and over and then go to sleep. Well, then as soon as I would wake up, my first thought again was on all this stuff that had been bothering me. And I felt like I just wasn't getting very restful sleep. I was going over this stuff over and over. My mind was tired and I was just kind of stressed out. I went to bed stressed out and I woke up stressed out. So one of the things when I started reading about Neville Goddard and even like Joseph Murphy and a bunch of the other kind of spiritual teachers was to really start using this time that you're going to bed much more thoughtful. And this was a very big shift for me. And it was one that took a lot of time for me to really focus in and decide how I wanted to feel when I was going to sleep. A lot of this stuff when you're coming into making kind of life changes, wanting to start thinking more positively, being more open to maybe the unknown of the world and kind of releasing some control, focusing mainly on yourself and seeing what happens and, what comes out of that, which, spoiler alert, it's going to be amazing the more that you can do this. I've watched this in my own life. I've watched it in other people's life. It seems so counterintuitive, but the more that you let go, focus on yourself and just have faith and belief that, either in a higher power or things will get better or in the universe or whatever it is, the more it really starts to reflect for you and starts to happen for you. And it's amazing, but I realize that it's counterintuitive and it's difficult sometimes to get started and to let go, especially if you've had years of things not working out for you. So I do empathize with that. I do sympathize with that. I have been there and I'm letting you know that the more that you work slowly on these bits, the more you'll see like, holy cow, this really does work. And this really is helping me be a better person, feel better, find some joy in my life, be a bit happier, and overall just have a better wellness about myself, a better glow, more magnetic. It'll just start to fall into place for you. So have some trust and kind of start with these small steps. And one of those is, as I'm going off to sleep, I'm going to create some mental discipline and decide the way that I'm going to feel and what I'm going to focus on when I go to sleep. Don't make it too convoluted with, visualization. If that's difficult for you, if that keeps you awake, don't worry about that. But find a routine that gets you into bed in a calm state. I like to listen sometimes to like Tibetan singing bowls on my Alexa. Like I said, I do my skincare. A lot of times maybe I'll take a bubble bath, do my skincare, do my positive speech affirmations about myself in the mirror. I do also recommend, and I also am working on, this is one of my challenges for myself. So if you would like to join me in this challenge, it's to start putting my phone away an hour before I'm going to bed. I'm an early riser, just naturally end up kind of getting up pretty early, and I usually go to sleep between 9:30 and 10. I like it to be closer to 9:30 because I'm so tired, but sometimes I'm not, falling to sleep until around 10. So around 8:30, my challenge to myself is to go put my dang phone down. I don't need the screen. I don't need to continue scrolling. And there's other things that I would rather be doing at that time that set me up for success, not only mentally and emotionally for going to bed, but also set me up even physically for success the next morning. So I go ahead, I put that phone down. I may take a bath so that I can relax. I like to put on like a face mask, wash off all my makeup, make sure I do my skincare, talk to myself in the mirror, tell myself how awesome I am, give myself a mental high five. And if I can share it publicly that I talk to myself in the mirror in the nude, you can do something along those lines privately that nobody else has to know about. That is my guarantee for you. So you can do this and you will feel better because of it. Even if at first it feels really weird and super awkward. And side note, I'm not saying you have to be in the nude. I'm just letting you know that that's part of my process. So from there, I like to get my book. I make sure that it's a book that's kind of uplifting. I read quite a bit. I've shared that a lot. And I like to have kind of a mystery fiction book that I'm reading at the same time, but I'm always usually, nose deep in either a spiritual type of working, like the Hermetica, Neville Goddard complete collection of all of his books, Joseph Murphy. I also really like Richard Dotz, so I'll get one of those books and make sure that I read that before bed versus like the fictional murder type mystery book. Not that I dislike those books. It's just for me going off to bed, I kind of like to have something that's a little bit more spiritually uplifting. Then I also work on kind of reviewing my day and mentally making sure that in my mind, the way that day has gone is beneficial to me. So I had mentioned before that I would struggle sometimes if I had said something to somebody and was really embarrassed by what I had said. Well, one way to work on that is to kind of review your day each night. This also helps with your attention, and just mentally rehearse how you would have preferred that to go. It sounds really weird. It seems really weird. I believe when you go into your mind like this, it's direct prayer with God, and you're kind of saying, hey, here's how I would have actually preferred that things had gone. The more that I do this and the more that I focus on this, although not perfect, and I'm definitely not doing it every night like I'm supposed to. Lately, I've really fallen off for some reason. I think being focused on kind of launching all of this stuff has taken my focus a little bit away from that, and I need to get back on track. So again, don't beat yourself up if you find yourself in that same position. Everybody does. This is a cycle and it's a journey. You're not really fighting to just get somewhere. You're just fighting every day to get better than you were yesterday. And sometimes you're going to fall off the wagon a little bit, and that's all right. We can all get back on. And I think everybody does it. I just don't think everybody shares about it, which we should really change. We should share when we're struggling and tell people, hey, this is something I've fallen off of. Even though I'm telling you how important it is, I necessarily don't always do it the way that I should. So anyways, I digress. But you review this in your mind, kind of the way that you would have preferred it to go. And it brings a lightness to the day. I also believe that it brings a better future for you. You're not going over it. You're not stressing about it. You're not overly concerned about it. And you just see, how you would have preferred your day to go. And then I like to drift off to sleep. And because I've gone to sleep this way, I really tend to focus on like maybe a singular word of kind of what I want to feel, whether that's like love or success or freedom or forgiveness is a really big one. If I have somebody in my life that's, kind of struggling, I'll think of them and think of the word forgiveness as I go off to sleep. The things that this has done for me, having this calm way to enter into sleep where I am spending time with myself, taking care of myself with an evening routine, and then spending a quiet moment thinking of the way that I want to feel in life has been really life altering. I don't wake up with the same stresses. I don't have the same type of concerns that I've had before. And it's just a really beautiful way of living. And what I can say I've also found is that the more that I do this, the more things just work out well for me, either things at work or within my personal life, with friendships that, are really important to me that maybe were not as close as I would have liked them to be. Those have started to fall into a much better place for me. And I just can't ignore and I can't hide the fact that doing all of these things led up to these changes. And it's really remarkable. I think everybody has the ability to do this, and you just need to start small. Which, going back full circle, is why I recommend doing the list of joys and adding that to your day. The more that you can do this, and they can be so small. If you're struggling to get out of bed in the morning, you are depressed, make a goal to yourself that you're going to sit outside for 5 minutes. That's all it needs. Just start there. I'm going to go sit outside for 5 minutes. You can set a timer and go right back inside. I'm going to read a book that I enjoy. I'm going to watch a movie that I like. And I know that for some people, it's much harder to get this done than for others. So I really encourage that if you're having those kind of struggles and you are struggling to get out of bed and you are struggling to see the joy in your day, just do one tiny thing for you. If that's that you really like chocolate cake, eat a slice of chocolate cake, eat a bite of chocolate cake, and really enjoy it in that moment. Even if at the beginning it feels fake and forced and you have to put a calendar reminder even that you're going to do this the next day. These small steps will really start to open up areas of your life that you may not have realized are available to you. And of course, my disclaimer in this is that if you are definitely struggling where you want to harm yourself or others, or you really cannot see the light and cannot get this stuff done, please seek a qualified professional in your area. There's some amazing therapists out there that I think would be really beneficial. And there's definitely no shame, regardless of beliefs, in getting that type of help, in reaching out to somebody if that's something that you need. Doing that is also a form of prioritizing yourself, seeking the help that you need, reaching out to somebody. That is taking care of you. And that's what all of this that I'm trying to share with everybody and teaching here is about, is finding the ways to take care of you. We can so often get caught up in the things that we have to do, or the way that we think we have to behave, or the honorable way even that we're like, we've got to do this because it's the right thing, and I have to do this because of XY choice that I've made. You tend to lose the ability or the focus to still enjoy your life. You doing the right thing and being a good person does not mean that you can't enjoy other aspects of your life. And wanting to enjoy stuff for you and feel good for you and do things that you want and have things that you desire does not make you a bad person. I firmly believe that it is our right as humans and what we should strive for ourselves to feel good in what we do. And to let go of some of these feelings that we're not allowed to have that. If you're a mom, that doesn't mean that you can't go get your nails done. If you're a mom, it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy putting makeup on and feeling pretty and attractive. If you're a dad, that doesn't mean that you have to work constantly to keep food on the table. You can also have some fun and to go out and to do things and to enjoy your life. If you have made the life choice to not have children, you should also be able to go out and find the things that you enjoy. That doesn't mean that you're responsible for other people's life choices, or that you don't get the same kind of freedom at work because you don't need it for a child. That's one of the things that I've never quite understood, but I see happen quite a bit, where folks are told, well, you don't really need this time off because you don't have kids. well, no, I need that time off because it's for me. Just having kids doesn't mean that, I'm allowed to have more relaxing time than somebody who doesn't have kids. I'll jump off that soapbox now that I can get a little off track with. So in other words, let me go back and kind of review the stuff that we've talked about today. 1, your list of joys. Super important. Please add those. I highly recommend also writing them out. I have found that if I have them written out, it's much easier for me to go back. If I'm feeling down or I'm not feeling very energized, I can actually take a look at them. There's also some joy in writing them, which is kind of fun, and adding to them. So oftentimes I'll, even message myself that I want to add something to my list of joys because I don't want to forget about it. And then when I go back to the list, I'm like, oh yeah, I totally forgot that I love doing this and I want to go out and do that. Or I only have 10 minutes. Let me find a shorter one that I can add. Or I've got a lot more time and I want to do something, bigger. I want to make sure I'm outside. What are ones that I can join together? It makes it fun to be on this journey as well. A lot of this is about the journey, not necessarily the destination, because, if you're climbing to the top of a mountain, once you get to the top of the mountain, okay, it's time to journey back down. It may feel good, but part of what feels so good is the journey that you took to get there. So give yourself a pat on the back for the journey that you're doing here. The other one is to make sure that you're using the time before you go to sleep well. So really take a look. How am I going? How am I spending my evening leading up to bed? And what am I doing when I'm getting into bed? Start to twist and change that habit in the routine that you have so that it better sets you up for success in the way that you feel mentally, emotionally, and then set yourself up for success physically the next day. The ways that I do that is by setting out clothes that are ready for me, making sure that my coffee maker is ready to go, meal prepping at breakfast, which is something else that I need to challenge myself to do. I'm not very good at that. I tend to only have coffee in the morning and I do want to add food. So these are things that you can do to physically set yourself up for success the next day. And then if you, are struggling with remembering the next day that you are changing your habits, you're changing your routines, you're changing your life, then replace whatever is usually there, like let's say it's your phone on your nightstand, replace it with something, a glass of water, a sticky note reminding you of what you're doing and why. Something that triggers a change in your brain so that oh, I don't want to do that anymore. I actually want to change this behavior. That little tiny shift from your routine will wake you up even first thing in the morning to say, no, we're not going to do that. The other thing is to give yourself some grace and forgiveness for your reactions and the way that you feel. Stop labeling being upset, mad, sad, or jealous as a negative, and either see it as a positive, lean into the opportunity to learn about yourself, or see it as just a neutral. Feelings are feelings, and I don't have to stay here. They're, not good nor bad. They just are, and I'm making the choice on how I'm going to deal with those now. So I hope that you found this helpful. I will definitely be back next week. Please follow me also on Instagram. It's Unleashing Happiness Podcast. I am posting there quite a bit. And during the week when I am not having the new podcast episodes, you'll find more of my content there. And then also on my YouTube channel, Unleashing Happiness. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you soon. Hey y'all, thank you again for joining me for this podcast today. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm extremely happy to have you here. It's a very exciting journey that we're on. I wanted to do a quick reminder that if you want to visit my website, you can do so at ceciliahendricks.com. And you can also find me on YouTube at Unleashing Happiness.